Okay. Mirror inquam. It's wonderful, I said. Nec minus savia. And it's not less savage. My Socrates, that's vocative. My friend Socrates, memores. What you were saying, what you were remembering. Deniqui mihi. And finally, to me, also, non parvam, that's accusative, incusisti. So that's the verb. You have struck me in not a small amount of, is there more accusative, with more, not a small amount of anxiety. More precisely, but but more precisely with dread. Injecto non scrupule. This is ablative absolute. So you've inserted, having not inserted a scrupule, which is a sharp stone, it's also anxiety, going with this anxiety up here. Having not injected an anxiety, but a lance. Ne quo numinous. This looks like ablative. Lest by this divine power, we'll go ministerio, by this help of a divine power, similita, that's adverb meaning similarly, usa sermones istos nostros. This is our conversations, our sermons, demonstrative pronoun. Here, the old woman, her, that old woman, she'll get to know by these help of these divine powers, similarly. That's just the use of the conversations that we had. Itaque, and so accordingly, maturius, comparative, more earlier, quiete nos reponimus. This is reflexive. So we'll take ourselves more quicker, more hastily off to rest. Et somno, and by sleep, levata, it's a past passive, lassitudinine, these are ablatives actually. So having alleviated our lassitude, our weariness with sleep, noctis antelucio or fugimus, we'll flee away for light. Distinct, it's an adverb from here, quam pote longissime. Let's say quam plus a superlative, so as far away from here, pote, as possible. Haec, neuter plural, ad hoc. It's the adverb for still. Me sui ardente, it's a present participle ablative. So for me, persuading these things still. Insolita, it's like a past passive. Violentia, so unaccustomed in drinking. And diaturna fatigione, ablative as well. And from a long time being fatigued. Per tentatus bonus socratis. So good Socrates, past participle again. So he's tested by this unused to being drunk and from his long tiredness. The good Socrates was now sopatus. He was sleeping. Altius. He was in deep sleeping and stirred about. That's imperfect for it's like snoring. Ego viro. So that's but I or moreover I. Adductor. It's past passive. Fore, that would be the door. So adducted fore. So with the door closed, and there's an enclitic. Pessulis, that's the bolt. The bolt firmly bolted, with the door closed, firmly bolted. Grabucolo, it's a low bed. It's like a cot, I think they call it. Etiam, and even behind the hinge that's in the accusative. Supposito, that'd go with the little cot. So supposito or subposited. So up against so it's probably up against this door, behind the bolted door. He's placed his little cot and probe, and having it's approvingly done, or he's uprightly done this ad gesto. He'd carried it there. Super eum, above this male, this cot which is male. Recipio me, it's reflexive. I took myself there above that bed. Above that cot. Ac primum. And first of all, probably pray. That would be taking the ablative here. So it's a preposition, not an adverb. And so first of all, because of fear, vigilo eloquentisba. I stayed vigilant for a little while. I was awake. Dain, or comes from dain day. So then, the next thing that happened, Kirka, around the tertiam firme, that means almost. You can Sometimes I spell it without the am. And then around the third vigilem, around the third watch, polulum, that's a diminutive of little, conivio, which is shutting your eyes tightly or lying dormant. So then around the third watch, I was asleep for a little while. Commodum, it's an adverb, which means just. Quiravam, that's a repetitive action in the past. So I'd just gone into my resting state, I'd just fallen asleep, et repente, and suddenly, here we go into ablative, impulso, meorquam, by an impulse, by some sort of blow maybe, more than that you would believe the bandits, more than what you would believe bandits would do with this blow. Yanue of the door, resurrenter, was unbolted. So by this impulse, the door was opened. Imo, more precisely or contrarily, vero, fractus. It was more precisely, it was broken. And evulsus funditus, and it was plucked off from its the depths of its hinges, which is ablative plural, prosternantor, and they were thrown on the ground. So the doors are ripped off their hinges and thrown on the ground. Grabatus, starting with the nominative, alioquen, it's a very common adverb. So this little cot, breviculus, which is small, or not very high maybe, in general, and uno pero, in one foot, mutilus, so it's mutilated, it's something probably broken off, ac putris, so it's rotted, putrid, impetus tantai violenti, the impetus, this strike was so violent, prosternator, so the bed, so first of all, the door was ripped off and was lying on the ground, then the little cot was prosternator, it was lying on the ground, and me also evolitum, I was rolled out, E means coming out of, and excusum means shaken out, I was residens humi on the ground, that's probably a locative, in inversum, so instead of him being on the bed was on top of him, cooperate, covering him wholly, or hiding him totally, and teget, and covering him. Tunc ego, then I, sense I, looks like past, what do you call them, perfects. So then I sensed, with an adverb, naturalitas, what comes naturally, quasdam. Certain things that affect us in contrarium, which is in the opposite way, provenue, which can mean flourish or just arising from contrarian action. Nam ut lacrimae, it's plural or genitive, for as tears, we'll say it's plural, saipiculae, it's like a diminutive of often. So as tears are often produced from rejoicing, thus also, and here we go into ablative, in too much of fear, paavore, in that too much of fear, a rhizum, a smile or a laugh, nequivi, I'm not able to contain. So, in too much fear, I'm not able to contain a smile concerning aristome testitudo factus. Could mean or from out of, which would be just for the E itself. So, this is a tortoise was made from aristomene. Ac dum in famam dejectus. So while I was dejected, I was thrown down on the ground. Obliquo aspectu, this is ablative. This is from going sideways, with his sideways eyes, looking at the corner of his eyes, or askew. Quid, what re, what was the matter, what was the circumstance, with a subjunctive. Grabutuli, now that would have to be, which move on, solertia, so that's like a cunning, munitus, operio. So I was covered and fortified and protected by the little cot. I saw mulieris duas, so I saw two women, altioris aetatis, who are more deeper in age, so that they're older. Lucernam lucidam, accusative, so it was a lit lantern, gerabat una. One was bearing or carrying a lit lamp. spongiam and nudem gladium altura. So the other, a sponge and a bare sword. Hoc habitu. It's probably ablative. So bearing this thing, or this is the appearance of what they were carrying. Socratum, Socrates, well quietem. With Socrates resting well, circumstedere. They stood around Socrates, who was sleeping well, carrying this. Infit illa cum gladio. Said she with the sword, the woman with the sword, hic est, here is soror Panthea, sister Panthea, dia endemion. Looks like a Greek word. Hic, here is catamitus meus. This is coming from a fable, I think. Who diebus and noctibus, who in day and night illusit, was playing or mocking with my age. Here is he who, saying detractable things, was saying insulting things about my love. Not only me, he defamed insultingly, or probris, but even he had decided to flee. Basically, he had decided to run away. At ego scilicet, but obviously I, deserted by an astute Ulysses, in turn, calypsionis aeternum solitudinem plibo. I shall weep for in eternal solitude. This is more into that fable. Et porrecta dextera, and it looks like past participle. And stretched out a hand, and me, Panthea, into her Panthea, demonstrato. So she pointed with her right hand and pointed out him to the other woman. That was a genitive back there of Calypso. At hic bonus. But this good, she said, consolator Aristomenes, but this good counsellor Aristomenes, who fuge huis aucta foot, who was the author of this flight, this is a double genitive, and now morti proximus, now he's near to death, that'd be a dative. Now humai, on the ground, locative, prostratus, past passive, he's lying now on the ground. Grabatulo, that's that cot again. Yaket, he's lying, resting on this bed, and haik, these things all conspicate. He's watching all of this. Impune, say, that'll be reflexive, he will bear or relate meus contumelias, my insults, and he's thinking that he will report my insults with impunity. Faxo eum sero, I shall make him, sero means late, more precisely start him immediately. So she's going to do something later, no, she'll do it immediately. Oh, contrarily, more precisely again, but yam nunc, but right now, so that also precedentes dicarcatitus. These are ablative plurals, so that his preceding words and instantis curiotas, blah, 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 and the right now curiosity, yes, so these preceding words and what he's going to do right now, painetiet. He'll regret this.